senor.
Oh, my friend.
We made it happen.
We made it happen, man. Where are you? You in the back of a car? Where are you?
I'm in the back of a car. You nailed it.
Oh, it's a
Sitting
gift,
here
man.
in the middle of Soho. Our office is right down the road, and this is the time that works for my Aussie brethren.
Dude, I love it, man. I'm so glad you could jump on. How was work? Was it good for jumping on, bro? It's just good to see you again, man. It's been way too
Yeah,
long.
it has been too long. You look amazing. You look
Yeah.
like you're aging backwards, which is frustrating to me.
It's this Benjamin Button thing, man. I don't know what's going on. No. A little bit of nip tuck. Nothing wrong with that, is there?
No. What time is it where you are?
It's 8:30 in the morning.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
early.
Oh, it's good. Dude, it's like sunny, 25 here at the moment. It's unreal.
So
So
people are
good.
waking up going like, who's the American James is
Yeah.
talking to?
Come on, man. It's so true. Hey, so just quickly, because I know you're a busy man,
No,
but
I'm good, man.
I love that we get to chat. And hey, so how long ago did we hang out last? Was that like, I feel like it
I
was
mean, I feel
years
like
ago.
I feel like we've been hanging out the whole time, even though we haven't actually seen each other in a while. But it might have been years ago. But the first time I ever met you was also the first time I heard you preach. And I still remember it to this day because you were so good and so funny. You talked about a burning a moth with a hairdryer.
Dude, that was
And
my wife. My wife blow drying a moth to death. It's so
yeah,
true.
but it stuck in my memory. And I remember, just getting to know you over the years, and you have remained a very consistent, loyal, kind human.
Oh, thanks, man. Hey, a couple of questions. You ready for this?
Hey, can you hear me okay? Is my
I,
reception good?
you sound amazing. You got
Okay,
a
cool.
voice that'd make a Wolverine purr. It's beautiful.
Let's go.
So, so question number one. All right, you've probably been asked this question before. If there was a movie made about you, who would play you?
Just hopefully someone that looked like me, like Brad Pitt, maybe
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman. You know, bro, I don't know. I think it would have to be played by somebody like you.
Really?
Someone that can really make it better.
Make it better. Look, it's funny when I get asked that question, people suggest Danny DeVito for me. All right. Another question. Who's your favorite person rhyming with Thames Yuri?
There's a guy named James Murray that I
Ah,
know. It's too easy. It's too easy.
I was hoping you were going to say that. Okay, one last one, and then we'll get serious.
Okay.
If you were you're a professional boxer. If you were, not to
Yeah.
say you could be. All right. What theme song would you come into the ring on? Like, what would be the song playing as you entered up to the boxing
Easy.
match?
Eminem, Till I Collapse.
All right.
My favorite song from
Really?
Eminem, and
Yeah.
I would choose that for my funeral, for my birthday, and for a boxing hypothetical.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know that song. That Queen song. Don't stop me now. Remember that one?
You would come out to a boxing
That's
match with
me.
a Queen song?
Hands down. Hands
I
down.
wouldn't be worried about you at all then. Immediately,
No.
I'd go, this is a joke. I got this guy. Yeah.
Dude, don't be intimidated. I'd even have the Freddie mustache. I'd go it.
I don't doubt it.
But, all right. Hey, so question. Here's the thing, man. This is what I've learned from you and then seen in you in the time that we've known each other, is that you're actually one of the most encouraging people I've met.
Oh, thank you, brother.
I don't know if you know that. Very encouraging. And even watching you interact with other people, other pastors, super encouraging person. So the question I wanted to ask you, and I thought be cool for people who are watching, is it's one thing to encourage, and we'll get to that in a moment, but what keeps you encouraged? I think it's one thing to encourage others, but in these times, what's keeping that courage in you, or what's keeping you encouraged?
Well, I think it's twofold. In general, I know how it feels to be encouraged, and I know how much like just a random word from somebody or a text or a call can mean. So in general, I just try to do what helps me, and I figure if it works for me, I'm sure it'll work for other people. And so that's why I always hang on to encouragement that's good, let go of discouragement that's bad, and then in a time like this, you go back to what you've always known, what you've always done, and obviously the Bible and what we stand on, it should encourage us deeply.
Mm.
And then you got to be around other people who believe it. So it's twofold. Some people are like, the Bible is my biggest source of encouragement, and I get that. Um, but it's also awesome to hear the same things you believe coming out of other people. So in times like this, man, I really don't have a lot of time for toxic, negative people
Yep.
who just, even if they don't mean to, like,
Yep.
now is not the time for me to spend a lot of time there because I don't have
Yep.
the space for it. There's so much negative around that you just got to be careful with that. But I do think, James, over the years, I've tried to train myself to see more positive than negative. And I think it's a learned thing. So if I meet a person, we might walk away and somebody else might say something, man, can you believe that guy did this? And I wouldn't have even seen it because I was focusing on the one thing they did that I loved. And
Yep.
I think there's your soul feeds on that. And so I've just trained myself to, if I find myself in a negative situation, try to find immediately why is this funny? What's funny about this right now? And that
Yep.
really helps too. Like if you're in traffic, man, it's frustrating. Why is this funny? And you look around and you see something funny and immediately your mind, shifts a little bit. So just some tricks over the years that have become staples of my life, really.
Yeah, that's huge, man. So I guess one of the things that in this time, and I've seen you do this a bunch on Instagram Live and different things, actually encouraging others. What do you think gives encouragement to people the most in these times? Like, what do you think is most helpful?
Genuine truth. Disingenuine truth is like almost empty preaching. When you've ever heard a preacher, preach and what they're saying is good, but you can't feel it in your heart.
Mm.
I think right now we need people that are genuinely truthful, meaning the difference is you're going to make it, James. You're going to have a great day, maybe. Or, I'm having a rough day, James. You might be too. That's the
Yeah.
reality. But
Mm.
God is going to be faithful. And I think that switch right there, we just need more of that. It's okay to encourage people through your own tears. It's okay to encourage people through your own confusion. It's okay to say, I don't have all the answers right now, but man, I'm standing on the word of God and I believe it's going to happen. And we don't need any people, putting on fronts right now. So I
Mm.
think if people are looking for ways to be helpful, be yourself, be genuine, and people appreciate that. I think I do.
Yeah. Yeah. So for you right now, like, man, New York it's crazy. Like in Australia here, really, we've had the whole COVID-19 thing going down as well. Obviously, it's a world epidemic, or pandemic. But you over there has been even harder, right? In New York, of just the stories I'm hearing. So what
Yes.
have you been able to do? I guess as a believer for people outside the church who maybe don't have, the foundation of faith that we have that helps us
Yeah.
kind of navigate difficult times. What have you done? What has the church done that you
Well,
felt has really helped?
yeah, firstly, we rub it in people's faces. So if you weren't a part of a church before this, you're not getting help now. That's the first thing we let them know. We say, we told you. You didn't want to come to church. Don't try to come calling now. You didn't love God before. He's not coming to help you now. So we really make sure that's clear. You
Smart,
know,
smart, love it.
I think if there was ever a time for us to build as many bridges as we possibly can, it's right now. And
Mm,
it takes nothing in New York right now to build a bridge. It can be a smile, it can be a text, it can be a phone call, it can be, even praying for somebody that might not even know you're praying for them. Like
mm,
you have to search for ways right now because the temptation to be isolated, it's everywhere.
mm.
So, I mean, we're just trying to mobilize our church to be Christians, really, and it's easy because there's a lot of them. But
That's
sometimes we're like trying to figure out these spectacular things to do, and it's like Jesus had it right. When he said to love God and love your neighbor, we're still there. We haven't gone far from there. So
Yep,
I love that about being a Christian. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I
yep.
get to pray for people and ask God to open up avenues, and He will.
Hmm. I love that, man. And you know what? You've done that. I got to be honest with you. When you came to preach for me in San Diego, this like a couple of years ago, and that was so fun. It was amazing.
Oh, I love that trip.
It was cool. But dude, I got to be honest with you, man. I was so challenged by the time that we had together. And here's the reason why. Besides, you being just physically intimidating,
Everybody feels like that. It's not just you.
the chiseled features. I don't know what it is. You're a masterpiece. But the one of you actually had a friend. I still remember you saying, "I've got a friend who I haven't seen in years. I went to
Yeah.
school with, and I've reached out to him. I'm going to bring him to church that night in San Diego, and then and then getting a text from you at 2 a.m. I still remember this, saying, "Hey man, like my friend actually just gave his heart to Christ."
Yeah.
And I remember getting it because if I'm really honest, and I have been, so I haven't been lying up to this point, but if I'm being honest, like I was like, man, I just wanted to hang out. Like I had this selfish side of me. I'm like, oh, would it be cool just to hang and have dinner? But I was so challenged because I'm like, man, this guy has a genuine heart for people. Like you want to see people come to Christ. Tell me about that, man. Like tell me about what has stirred that so much in you.
I think it's I've asked God continually to give me an awareness of like what really matters, because my human nature, my tendency would be to be selfish every second of the day. And so I feel like God has helped me over the years, just try to keep my head up a little bit. Even, yeah, I remember that trip. And my friend who did get saved, we still have a bond to this day from that trip. And I remember being tired when I went to San Diego. I remember being tired when I thought about calling him, because it does take take a little bit of a toll, I guess. But it reinvigorates you the moment you do it. So it's like, what's it going to cost me to call him? I love you. I love your church. It's another chance. I've known him my whole life, but I've never got him in my church. And I never had a combo with him that mattered. But who knows? And sure enough, he picked up his phone. I said, I'm preaching at my boy's church down the road. He's like, yeah, why not? And he comes and his life is forever altered. And we didn't get to have the dinner we should have had. But I think we both agree, there'll be more dinners, but those windows, I sometimes think we don't weigh it up enough. Like, what's the bigger loss? This guy not calling, me not calling him and him coming to church, or like me being a little bit inconvenienced? It's no question. So I think sometimes that's the battle. It's just being aware.
Yeah. And that's, dude, that's so inspiring, man. I gotta be honest. Like, okay, so I actually read your book.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, okay, so by read, I mean I did the audio book. Does that count?
No, I want you to actually read it. I think there's power in reading. No, the audio book was cool. I did that myself. I did every freaking word. Yeah.
And I'm actually grateful, because I get really disappointed when I listen to an audio book and it's not the author. Don't you reckon? I'm like,
I do.
Yeah,
unless there's someone watching who did that, and we're not talking about them if they did.
Never. Or unless it was Morgan Freeman. Like if Morgan Freeman did the reading, man.
Yeah.
He could read out, a Cat in the Hat book, and I'd be pumped about it.
Social security numbers are good with Morgan. Yeah. My favorite role of Morgan Freeman was the Robin Hood one with Kevin Costner, and he played the dude.
Yeah, I love it. Well, he played God in Bruce Almighty. He's the best. I love it. Yeah. Okay, so in the book, Own the Moment, I really did enjoy it. Again, super challenging in a great way.
Thank you.
Because looking for those moments, man, like what have you done to be aware of those moments? Like again, it seems like throughout the book, and even when I hear you preach, man, there's so many stories. Like I remember you saying once actually that, when I get to preach on the weekend, I just get to, I'm sharing the scriptures, sharing the gospel, but I'm actually sharing a lot of stories about what happened throughout the week. So how do you own the moments, man? Like, what does that look like? How can you encourage myself, other people to do that?
I think it's a mindset shift to think of most of your life as being an outreach, and then the rest of it, if you can fit it in. We do the opposite, where we have this life and then we create these little slivers to like, then I'm an outreach. I think I tried to flip it. So I feel like, okay, today's another day and God could really use me. And so I got to be open. Like if you were to prepare for a missions trip, your mindset's different. It's like, I'm going to this country and we're going to give away Bibles. We're going to feed whatever. And then we have to do that every day, because it's just as right for the harvest, our every day, as it is to go overseas and do something, right? So for me, it's a mindset, and I don't get it right a lot. There are days where I can remember right as I'm going to bed, I'm a Christian. I totally forgot that today. Nothing in my life pointed to anything that matters. And you learn how to just, get on your knees again and say, Lord, forgive me. I'm better than this. Your grace is better than this. And you start again. So those days are real. Yeah. But by and large, I feel like it's like any habit. It takes a while to create a habit. But if you have a habit, and I did that for years, where I would have, my friend Krishan.
Yeah, of course.
In Australia.
I call him Crescendo. He loves it.
Yeah, well, when we were in Bible college together, we had a challenge daily where before we go to bed, we would call each other and say, did you share your faith today? And we did that for a year and a half. And man, there were days where I'd be like, I'd have to lie. I'd make up stuff just to be accountable. Like, yeah. Leah shared my faith on the way in. I'd rather lie to Krishan about reaching people than worry about God being mad. I'm lying. I'm kidding. That's too complicated. But I think it becomes a habit and then it becomes a lifestyle. But it has to be an intentional thing. It's not just going to happen. You're not going to wake up with this burning love for people. I wish it was that pretty and that
Yeah.
easy. It's just not. I think
Hmm.
you can have a burning love for people, but if there's no habit behind it, you're talking to me philosophies and theology, and nobody has time for that. I want to
Hmm.
see a habit behind your theology. I want to see a practical handle behind your
Wow.
principle. If you don't have those, you're not helping a lot of people.
Yeah. Flat, man. That's huge. And so that habit, years, you're saying that took you years of just practicing that
Yeah.
over and over again. That's so huge, man. I think so encouraging for believers, because I think what stops a lot of people is that fear as well. The fear of, oh, what if I get rejected? What if they think I'm weird? Whatever it is. How have you handled that fear? How have you handled
It's
that?
50-50 though, bro. It's
Mm-hmm.
50-50. Like, what if you don't get rejected? What
Yeah.
if they do hear you? What if you do make a lifelong friend? I don't know. I've never understood people who sit on the other side of the hypothetical. Like, what if I don't get the job? What if you do?
Yeah.
What if God doesn't heal me? What if he does? You have
Yeah.
to make a choice either way. So why even spend time over there? And then I always walk out the hypothetical too. What if you get rejected? Okay. And then what? What's the worst thing that could happen?
Mm.
Walk it all the way to the worst hypothetical. It still's not as bad as somebody walking another day without hearing the truth. So I
Mm.
think it's definitely challenging, but it's something we got to live with, that tension. Hey, are
Yeah.
you okay with the fact you look a lot like Jurgen right now? You okay with that?
Are you serious? Why is that? Do I look like him?
The hair is perfect. It's cropped. It's blonde.
Dude, this is this. I've just come out of summer, man. This is the summer vibe right now.
Okay. I'm just saying, you look like Jurgen. And
I
he's
was,
very
I,
handsome too.
and I love Jurgen. Jurgen's one of my favorite people. I was hoping you were to say someone like, I don't know, Matthew McConaughey, something like that, but that's fine.
You look more like a mix between Matthew McConaughey and a little bit of Ryan Reynolds,
Oh,
a
oh, okay.
little bit of Daniel Craig.
Daniel, like from here down,
Sure, whatever
because
you
I like
what, what,
Daniel Craig's got. He's quite. Yeah, he looks good.
he's good. Yeah. You go any further with that, people are gonna start doing the opposite of dropping hearts. Dropping concerns.
Exactly. Hey, one last thing, and then I'm gonna let you go, man, because you're a busy boy. All right, so out of this season, okay, we are going to come out the other side of it.
This
Thank you.
guy has a mask on his dog right now.
What? He does not. Show me.
Did I get him?
No, I missed it.
Yeah, sorry, I
On,
tried to get it.
on the dog.
Okay, back. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. No, I love it. I wanted to see it. Okay, so the out of this season, we'll come out the other side of it.
Yeah.
What are you hoping to learn or to add to your life because of this COVID-19 season?
Whoa, that's a great question. I think that's the
I
question.
know. It is. It's a good one. I know.
I mean, I think the big picture answer would be just a deeper appreciation for Jesus, for who he is, for what he's done, how lucky we are to be alive. That's probably tougher for people in other parts of the country, but in New York, this virus is so real. You're looking at hundreds and hundreds of people dying every day, and I think it just reminds you that this life is a vapor. It's fleeting. What were you afraid to do before this pandemic? Please don't be afraid to do it. Coming off the back of this, like, what were you worried about before? Now you look back at some of that stuff, and it's like, oh, before you knew you could lose your job, every relationship you had, every sense of normalcy. Maybe that stuff seemed big, but then you realize what's at stake here. It's like, man, I'm gonna come out of here. I will not leave a bullet in the clip. Nothing. Let's come out of this remembering what it was like. Okay, we got a wake up call we didn't ask for. But if you don't come out of this without a new passion or a new skill, like I told our church, I'm trying to learn Spanish. Like, I want to come out of this speaking a different language if I have to. Like, if you waste this pandemic, man, something's wrong. If all you're doing is sitting there just waiting for it to be over, I think there's so much more in it than that. And that's my prayer for people that I love, for myself. Lord, let me come out of this different than I walked in, with something that matters forever.
Bro, I love it, man. That was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, as per usual. And man, so good to see you again. Really, hoping to cross paths very soon.
Yeah, but thank you though. Thank you
Well.
for being so encouraging for so long. I really don't take it for granted. I think you're very special in a lot of ways, and that's one of them. You're just a low maintenance, high investment friend, and I appreciate you truly. So thank you. And someone said you look like Dolph Lundgren from Rocky IV, and they're not wrong.
If from a certain angle, do you think?
They're not wrong. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for letting me chop it up with you, man.
All right, man. Hey, love you, bro. We'll chat with you soon.
Okay, love you. Bye.